Hello everybody, we are synced, we are the Slapdash Saboteurs, and we are here for the first time and also regularly recording during the summer season in a regular elimination episode on schedule. I am Eric, and for the first time, I'm Eric. Joining me is my co-host Scott.
Hello, I'm pretty excited that we made it through the whole season without missing an episode. It was exciting.
Yeah. And also our special, as always, unique, first time unit or judge, Brandon is here.
Yay!
Yeah, so we're really glad to have him here on the show for the first time ever, and also to be doing the same structured show. Last week was a bit of a surprise when we booted off Hataraku Saibo. It was a real controversial episode. That one was.
So's rigged.
But you know what? It was there. Sync. We got a special comment from one of our listeners the other day, and as promised, we will read all of our comments. Scott, you want to give us a good old read on that one?
All right, we have a comment from a fan of the show, Slapdash Scott, which says kitchen sink. Not really sure what they're referring to, but that's exciting.
That one's got all of the comedy and the kitchen sink, because comedy is nothing.
Yes, I'm sure everyone will get the inside joke we made up 5 minutes ago.
I
I'm
doubt
sure
it.
that they'll be. I'm sure that they'll be in sync with us.
Oh.
3, 2, 1, sync.
Speaking of being in sync, how about we let our viewers know a little bit about Brandon with a question? So,
That's
what's
a
the
great
question
idea.
for him, Eric?
Heads.
All right, Brandon.
Oh.
Here's the question, and this is the first time that we're going to ask it to you. And it's heads or tails.
Oh, heads. Heads
And it
always
seems-
wins.
Okay, well, let's see if you're... Oh, it's heads again. It's always
I
wins.
told you. Heads
Oh,
always
did I
wins.
say it again? Oh boy, it's heads for the first time. Nice, good job, Brandon, for guessing that. So that should give you a little more of a taste of who Brandon is.
Yeah, I think we're all in sync now, so we can move on to the opening arguments.
I think we're all in sync. Yeah, I'll go first for an opening argument that's never been heard before. But before that, let's quickly describe the structure of the show. We're gonna do opening arguments. We're gonna do a free debate, and then we're gonna do concluding arguments, and then Brandon's gonna say who wins.
Oh, yeah, what-
As always, as it's been every time, we're arguing for the show that we think is better. As it's been every time.
Yeah, what show you got?
Of the two remaining shows, I have picked Chio-chan no Sugakuro as what I believe should be the anime survivor.
Alright, and I got Asobi Asobase, because it's the other.
Yeah, and that covers 100% of the remaining options. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into opening statements. And I will start taking the initiative.
Sync.
There comes a time in every person's life when they are forced to choose what they believe in. To separate the great from the good and the better from the best, we must look to the core of the matter at hand. At its core, Chio-chan is a funnier show than Asobi Asobase. Both shows are very similar, packing episodes full of quick content with fast delivery. Their small main casts interact with a large supporting cast, and they both feature themes of popularity, friendship, and even gaming. However, their approaches are fundamentally different. Chio-chan takes a small scenario and magnifies it, pushing a believable event as far as it will go. It breaks our expectations with actions that are very situational. The comedy in Asobi Asobase is derived from punchlines and unexpected art design, rather than by building a scene. They rely on the same types of punchlines, the same types of unexpected art, and as such the humor gets stale and fails. Chio-chan remains fresh because the scenario and the comedy build hand in hand rather than separately. Additionally, Chio-chan focuses on the relationships between characters more so than Asobi, which focuses more on defining the characters individually. Chio-chan's style lends itself more to creating an interesting scene that focuses on a dynamic like the rivalry between Chio-chan and Manana towards becoming popular, rather than a specific character trait, such as Olivia having stinky pits. Chio-chan sets itself up for long-term structural success, while Asobi sets itself up for disappointment. This is an important crossroads in our collective anime mentality, one where we decide which qualities we need to laud and which qualities should be strayed from. We make these choices not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Chio-chan has the fundamental structure of a long-term successful comedy, where Asobi Asobase eventually falls short. It is the time to choose what to believe in, and I implore you to choose the path of the future.
All right.
Sync.
And we're synced. Asobi Asobase is a first-person action-adventure anime from developer Platinum Games, creators of such genius works as Beyond Two Souls and God of War. The anime was first released in the summer of 2018 and received widespread praise from many literary critics, praising such things as its creative characters, engaging visuals, and great game feel. You can really just handle it. It's meaty. In particular, in this review, I would like to talk about Asobi Asobase's 3 major characters and how they, in connecting with each other, represent and convey to the player great game feel. First of all, we have Olivia, a Japanese girl of foreign descent. Olivia's foreign nature clues in the player to the first major theme of Asobi, and that is a critique of British Secretary of War Lord Kitchener and his use of scorched earth tactics and concentration camps during the First Boer Wars, everyone's favorite topic. Viewers can see for themselves how the introduction of early modern war tactics took their toll on both soldiers and civilians through the game's brilliant use of Olivia as a Kitchener stand-in. Furthermore, from the character's interactions with Olivia, we can clearly piece together a critique of the court-martial of Breaker Morant, wherein several British soldiers were found guilty of killing prisoners of war, despite their claims of only following orders. Viewers are forced to understand the consequences, both in the legal and political realms, for this decision as it paved the way for the Nuremberg trials almost 50 years later. The second character of importance is Hanako. Hanako represents toxic masculinity, everyone's favorite topic, and the show's constant braiding of her for it conveys to the viewer great game feel and how bad the problem really is. Hanako displays all the classic signs, an anger at not being able to attract a romantic partner, constant anger at women for not giving away their breasts to her, and extreme sexual aggression, wishing to do such perverted actions as hold hands with a man. The final character to talk about is Kasumi, who represents the American Federalist Party as it stood in 1789. Youthful and strong, Kasumi appears invincible, but in a twist of dramatic irony, it is clear to the viewer that just as the Federalist Party collapsed after only 3 elections, Kasumi will be useless after 2 or 3 more decades due to her lack of defining characteristics besides her large breasts. These 3 major themes of the show are only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Asobi. There are many more interesting themes, each reinforcing each other in ways that are unexpected and exciting. It's no wonder that some people consider Asobi the Dark Souls of anime.
Alrighty then, we're gonna hop right into free debate. As always, Brandon, feel free to jump in whenever, interject whenever, as you are the supreme judge of all
Just
things.
making sure you heard that all, your headset all working right?
Yep.
Everything's
Just wanna
synced
make
up
sure.
for you?
Guys, apparently I stopped recording at 4 minutes again.
Oh, darn. Rats. Well, I guess we'll have to do this all again for the first time.
I'll start.
Jeez.
3, 2, 1, sync.
Sync.
Okay, great. Now let's move into the fucking free arguments. Okay, great. Now I'm gonna just start us off here.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna just start ourselves off here. I'm gonna say that the button scheme for Asobi Asobase was completely off. They put jump on the X button instead of the A button, and that ruined the entire game feel for me.
See, your problem is that you're using a PS4 controller when everyone knows you're supposed to be using a Wii Fit board. The Wii Fit board is really the only way to play the game.
I am just so shocked that Asobi Asobase did not support the DK bongos or the GameCube controller. What were they thinking?
Why would they? They need to push the new hardware. It's money for our good boys at Platinum Games, subsidiary of Nintendo.
Platform Games took a hard stance against Nintendo in this instance, which frankly doesn't make much sense. They're pushing themselves as separate from Nintendo, but Nintendo is a family name. Everyone loves them. You shouldn't push yourself away from a successful model.
But this was part of a meta-narrative. See, Nintendo represents Japanese imperialism and a desire to repeal Article 29 or whatever it is, where Japan cannot use war. No one cares about numbers, let's be honest. It says war is disabled. It's a really dumb patch note if you ask me.
You can't use it.
Like, it was pretty dumb.
They didn't even try to balance it. They just cut it out.
And everyone knows Nintendo is an imperialist power. So the show is taking a very strict stance of being anti-imperialist here. Really standing up for the Meiji Restoration when Japan became a imperial power again.
At the same time, the show clearly goes against the Geneva Convention. Did you see what those girls did to the president of the Shogi Club? They broke all the bones in her body.
But she broke her own bones by jumping. Just because your friends tell you to ride a bicycle off a cliff doesn't mean you have to.
She was forced to ride that bicycle off that cliff, or it would mean the death of her Shogi Club.
And it died anyways, so clearly not worth it.
Whew. She was held at gunpoint to a cliff and forced to jump off. Either way, this is clearly an act that goes against everything the UN stands for. And as such, I believe that Asabi should be treated as a rogue nation and should not be recognized by us, the United Nations. On the other hand, Chio-chan is an exemplary show which teaches us to feed stray cats. And that's about all it takes to be better.
Yeah, but if...
Are these animes about video games or history?
Anime?
These animes.
What?
Are they about...
No, Chio-chan is a live-action Korean show, and Asabi is a video game developed by Platinum Games, subsidiary of Nintendo.
Loosely speaking, Chio-chan, this Korean drama, focuses on Chio-chan, a high school girl, and her commute to school, and the interactions she has along the way, the friends she walks to school with. While the first person, whatever cares, Asabi
action-adventure anime.
Action-adventure anime first-person shooter is about 3 girls passing the time in a club that's called Pastimers Club.
Yeah, 3 girls, 1 pool, 1 teacher.
Yeah, 3 girls, 1 pool, 1 teacher, and it's not P.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to know. I'm going to get into another point here, which is that Kasumi is as dull as a butter knife after episode 2. And you brought that up as a theme.
Yeah, she is a clear reference to the American Federalist Party.
Listen, sure, she's a clear reference to that party, but also you don't need to keep making the same reference episode after episode.
Well, see, that's because we rely on the other characters more, and she's important to Hanako's obsession with her breast, because her breasts are small, and she feels inferior, which is something I can, of course, relate to, because I am quite small-breasted, and wish I had larger breasts. So, that's some clear theming that everyone can relate to, I think.
I believe that's what they call breast envy.
Yeah.
Is the proper terminology.
Yeah, and as everyone knows, you gotta drink milk and rub your breasts, and that'll make them grow.
Yeah, alternatively, you can force milk into other people and rub their breasts. But also, you can't do any of that. And Asabi once again shows that it breaks fundamental human rights.
You know what breaks fundamental human rights? Fortnite. And Asabi has a brilliant takedown of Fortnite in their episode where they play Candy, Heaven or Fairy Tale Hell or something, and they just make fun of Fortnite. And who doesn't want to see that?
12-year-olds.
Yeah, but does anyone like 12-year-olds? Check and Shogi.
I'm going to just make the compelling point here that episode actually, during that segment where they played the candy version of Fortnite, didn't really have a lot going on for it. All it really had was
much like Fortnite.
All it really had was that vague joke of, this game is Fortnite, but with candy.
Yeah, and it sucks. They quickly were drawn into it and thought it would be great, and then realized it sucked after after 1 game, and then they played a second one, and then it sucked even more, so they just quit, which is trying to tell us, the viewer, stop playing Fortnite. It's awful.
Listen, if we're looking at how well these games reflect or talk about other games, I believe that Chio-chan's view on Mirror's Edge, through its multiple parkour scenes, and Assassin's Creed, through its multiple stealth scenes, are much more accurate and funny analysis, since in both instances, or in every instance of a stealth mission or a parkour mission, they go to great odds to point out how hilarious it is that anyone would do either of those things. Assassin's Creed and Mirror's Edge are ridiculous in concept, and it makes sure that we know that if we take a step outside of a game's concept, we can really view how believable it is and how important it should be to us.
All right, fair enough. But also, friggin' Assassin's Creed is what I meant to say, is a glitchy mess and not a fun game, and yet for some reason Chio-chan's obsessed with it and thinks it's good, even though everyone knows besides like the first two, they never aged and no one cares.
At the very least, it's a popular game, so we can understand why somebody might at least play it.
Yeah,
whereas
more
on the
popular
other hand,
than Fortnite?
Whereas on the other hand, Asabi Base, what are you doing? Laser beam technology is unreasonable and babies can't talk. The Asabi Base world is unbelievable, and I am taken out of my zone of believability. I am taken out of the story, out of the scene, by how clearly fake it all is.
But that absurdity really allows us to compare it to real life and see the, like, gap moe of the show.
Listen. It can be funny for a while to watch our friends stick a needle in their butt or make a funny face, but that wears off. Eventually, we all fall back to the subtle beauty of poetry or song or dance, the subtlety that comes from a scene-building comedy and a fundamentally more deep and structured show, such as Chio-chan.
Yeah, but Chio-chan, as you keep saying, is this deep and structured show, but in reality, it isn't really that deep and structured. It has a few running jokes, like the older guy who was in the Yakuza and then drops out and then starts doing odd jobs, and like Chio-chan's rivalry or whatever. But these are just kind of minor things. And that's basically the same as Asabi Base. There's a few minor jokes of armpits smelling and breast envy. But all in all, neither of these shows have great scene building and comedy built off of things. You're just kind of making up stuff, and I think that's really disingenuous to the audience.
You know, you both seem to be, judging by the rest of the podcast, you seem to be big fans of running jokes.
No,
jokes.
I am a big fan of literary criticism, like which is what I'm clearly applying here.
Listen here. Listen here to me right now. Right here. Listen.
Yep.
George the Cat in Ando is the greatest love story ever told. It's the greatest love story ever told. See, Chio-chan may not need to have multiple different ultimately original character ideas or a bunch of running jokes, because what it does is take a situation and take it to its max. Whereas Asabi Base kind of just, exists, just happens in the void with those running jokes. It doesn't go.
I think Chio-chan takes some of its jokes to the max, but for the most part, they're just kind of there, and they kind of come back. They play the kawaii, and it's funny, but they just kind of come back to it, and they don't. There's not some extreme end besides just a character being really good at it because they don't want to get groped or whatever.
Listen, I'll tell you the extreme end of the comedy joke. I'll tell you right now. When it's said at the fucking end of the 12th episode, the comedy character says, "Holy shit, I should have been doing women's sumo this whole time."
Yeah, but that's not
and that is the epic finale.
That extreme. That's just kind of like.
I don't know, because it got me to laugh in a pretty extreme way.
See, but it's like the best joke in any of these shows was clearly when what's his face, Detective Conan's shadow showed up in episode 1 of Asabi Base, and that was the most random and like unexpected and got a good laugh, and then we all moved on. Just as we needed to move on from these shows, because, frankly, neither of these shows are that great as to determine or deserve the greatest show of the summer, except Summer didn't have the show to steal it away on this list, so we lose.
Yeah, I mean, that's compelling. But, listen here. We're comparing two shows of similar quality with similar themes that are targeting a very similar audience in a very similar way.
Yeah.
So
which one did the audience like? I wonder. Was it Asabi Base with a 8.4 or so on Mal, or was it Chio-chan with a 7.7 or so on Mal?
Yes. But it's important to note that we are not your average everyday anime consumers. We are the intellectual elites of the scene, and we have
who have a duty
The rights?
to
We have a
teach
duty.
people about anime and tell them that they need to observe these great themes
Balls.
and
We
game
have a duty.
feel.
Balls. We have a duty to disagree with popular opinion because it's bad.
Yeah.
If we intellectuals don't hold ourselves to different standards, not necessarily better, how are we ever going to maintain our privileges and rights?
Scott, are you arguing that the people on Mal have good taste?
No. You've been mistaken. I'm arguing that I don't really have an argument. That's my argument.
Oh shit, he's going for the Chewbacca defense.
Oh, Frig, you figured it out.
He's going for the Chewbacca defense. Sink.
All right, so if we're supposed to accept that we just are supposed to have different opinions than popular, then we're just gonna be like, oh, Stalin was right, Hitler was right. Those are different opinions, but they're dumb. We don't have to just disagree with the popular conscience to have a good opinion, to have something interesting to say.
Yes. I agree with your unpopular opinion.
That wasn't even an unpopular opinion.
I disagree with your opinion, and now it is 50-50 unpopular and unpopular.
No.
And no meaningful comment can be
Let's
made
have
about
on the record that Eric disagrees that Stalin and Hitler were not good people.
What?
That's the opposite. No, Scott was arguing. Wait, hold on. Wait a second. Hold on. The last time that I argued that education and racism are good, I was joking. That was a lie. To make that perfectly clear.
All right, let's make it clear. Erica's broken character. That's minus 5 points from Hufflepuff right there.
Listen, just to be clear, nope, I'm playing a different character than in that episode.
All right,
To be
Erica's
clear,
switched characters. That's minus 10 points from Ravenclaw right there.
Listen, all I'm saying is that earlier in this episode, Scott
All I'm
said-
saying is that the rules for substitution of characters were clearly defined before this whole show started.
Listen here. You said that the PlayStation controller was the one with X on it. Fuck, it also has X on it. No, I said X and A. I said it was X and A, which is the Xbox controller. You said that it was the PlayStation controller, which doesn't have an A button. It has X, circle, square, triangle.
But it does.
You use
It
the wrong
has
controller,
the
man.
start button, which is short for A Lamau.
Alright. Well, minus 5 points to Gryffindor, I guess.
No, they already had minus 5. Slytherin can get bent.
Anyway.
It's a snake.
I guess the most important thing to distinguish these two shows is probably just their peaks. And what better peak could there be than I should have been doing sumo wrestling this whole time?
Being confused over shogi versus firing a laser out of your butt. There's a better peak from Asobi Asobase.
Firing a laser out of your butt is cheap body humor. That's unreasonable. And frankly, came out of nowhere in a bad way. Listen,
Cheap
sure.
body humor is the future because it appeals to the mass market audience. And in this age of consumerism, if you can't beat them, join them.
I don't know who you think you are, but once again, we are anime elite, and I would rather die than join the masses.
Alright, you oligarchical scum. I appreciate a good democracy, thank you. And therefore believe
Oligarchy.
that, as Locke would argue, we all have to have private property rights.
Listen, we all have to have private property rights, but in order to set up these large-scale Fortune 500 industries that create hundreds of thousands of jobs worldwide and make our economy a better place, some of us are going to have to be on top. And you know what, Scott? I'm an anime intellectual. I'm on top, and I'm not going to give this up.
Now, I forgot the real peak. The real peak of Asobi Asobase was when Digibro showed up, the popular anime reviewer, and they made fun of him for being a weird otaku. That was pretty unexpected, but it literally happened. I'm not making this up. It was just Digibro. He was Olivia's brother, and he was Digibro. It was pretty funny.
Let me just say that his name was not explicitly Digibro.
Yeah, sure, but it was Digibro.
It was not explicitly Digibro. To be clear.
I mean, Olivia's name was not explicitly Henry Kissinger, but we all know that she represented Nixon's Secretary of State.
Okay, yeah.
Or whatever he was.
The similarities were clearly there, but also, can we really support the Nixon administration so strongly as Asobi Asobase does?
I mean, Nixon was not a crook, and therefore, yes.
Even if he may not have been a crook, he still was part of one of the largest government scandals in history, and I just don't know if we want to taint our hands with that.
You can listen to the Watergate tapes online, and they mostly are really boring and suck. Also, a lot of them are just black audio.
Well, I know that now. And honestly, I'm not a better person for it. So, listen, Chio-chan's more relatable to the American male audience, which is us.
Oh, we're there? Alright, we're talking about the American experience? Besides...
Chio-chan's more relatable to the American male audience, my dude. She plays Western games, not these stupid Japanese school games. How am I supposed to know what to do with my thumbs?
If there is nothing more American than weebdom, and Asobi Asobase is engaged in weebdom. You've got a character who's American or whatever she was and is over there and trying to speak Japanese so no one can understand her because she's a friggin' weeb and speaks like Japanese English, and it's pretty American.
I don't know how to break this to you, Scott. But being Japanese isn't weebish.
Yeah, but she wasn't. So
It's the ultimate form of weebism is being actually Japanese.
Oh, shit. Well.
Yeah, the ultimate form of weebism is being a white person that goes to Japan and goes to Japanese school or supports the Emperor in World War II and Joker game, the ultimate American experience, and yeah.
Joker game, no, that's a bad anime that I haven't heard the name of in a while.
I kind of erased it from my memory. Well, I think that there's nothing more American than not being a weeb, considering that most of America isn't weebs. So
I think we, as the anime elite, have a duty to teach people about weebdom.
Yes, we do. And as such, my points from earlier have become
I think there's nothing more American than going to closing arguments.
I think that's pretty fucking American.
I don't know, it seems pretty American to say the same argument over and over for another 10 minutes.
Yeah, sync. I agree. Good point. I think that Chio-chan has a better structure.
Alright.
Good point, Brendan.
So, I have a closing argument, because I'm first. That's
Go
the
get
thing.
him.
Alright. So there's this show airing this season called Zombieland Saga, wherein a bunch of zombies are used. Yeah, in the summer season, are used as stand-ins for idols, and no one can tell the difference. And every episode, they change up what they're singing, and they do rap, they do screamo, and basically the joke is, as long as you got a bunch of cute girls, no one cares what they're listening to, no one cares what they're singing, they just want a bunch of cute girls. And it's a brilliant takedown of the idol industry. Meanwhile, you have a show like JoJo, where there's a bunch of gangsters in Italy, or mobsters, but they call them gangstars. Don't even worry about it. There's a bunch of gang stars in Italy, and they're just doing gangstar things with Zipper Man, my favorite stand, and that's pretty great. And they got a song by Coda, Fighting Gold, and yeah. But the point of this argument is that there's a lot of good shows going on in this summer season, but we're talking about Chio-chan and Asobi Asobase, which started strong and then just kind of faded out. Much like my arguments started strong and faded out. Thank you.
I also am in agreement that both shows started very strong and faded out, but because Chio-chan had built itself on this stronger structural foundation, I found myself enjoying later episodes more than Asobi Asobase. Both shows are, again, very similar. Very, very similar in their styles, characters, scenarios, but Chio-chan's structural differences gave it the slight edge. Also, I do not support Hitler or any form of genocide. Thank you very much.
Alright, Kami.
Alright, okay. So, these arguments pass through things such as video games and then to history. I feel like Asobi Asobase really covered the historical context that this show should be put in better.
Yeah, of
Chio-chan
course.
seemed to. But apparently, Asobi Asobase did kind of devolve into, low forms of humor, such as just body comedy or, kind of absurdist humor. And Chio-chan seems to have, kept more of a structure, as Eric said. So, but there was something I said earlier that, these two shows probably don't deserve to be neither of them deserve to be the anime survivor this season, but they're the two we have. And so I have to come to this decision, not because it is easy, but because it is hard.
Oh, what originality.
No. He's grown too powerful, Scott. He's grown too powerful.
And since I was vested with the title of Supreme Judge, I'm able to make any decision I want.
Wait. Before you do that, right? Sync.
For the anime survivor this season, I pick Haruka Saibo.
Yeah, we should have fucking figured. Cool. Nice, great. Well, congrats to me and Scott for tying 2-2 between all of our shows. Hey, thanks for being here, Brandon. I appreciate the direction you've taken this. And it's fucking over. Yeah. Guys, we did it, okay? We did it.
Alright. So, true facts, I have a little thing on my desk that says Zombie Crossing, and that was the entire basis of my closing argument.
Yeah, true fact, the entire basis of my closing argument was I said structure a bunch, so I figured I'd say structure again.
Nice.
Oh boy, look at that. Repeating something puts it in your head.
To be honest, I thought that I would declare Haruka Saibo the winner, 4 minutes in, and then I said, go for it.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't see that coming sooner. Because honestly, until
wait, 4 minutes in the first time or the second time?
No, the first time.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Huh? The what?
Sync?
Sync? Hey, did you guys hit stop yet?
No.
We
haven't closed this. What are you talking about?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, but yeah, it honestly didn't occur to me until we were just about to do the closing arguments that, wait, he's just gonna pick... Hold on. Wait, we made him mad by not doing Haruka Saibo. He's just gonna pick that?
And you shouldn't have given me the power of Supreme Judge.
And you know what? Honestly,
maybe if we just regular Judge, maybe I would have followed the rules, but...
Words have meanings. Fuck. We live in a society, unfortunately. But honestly, I think Haruka Saibo is going to stand the test of time better than any of these shows.
Oh, 100% will.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Good job. I guess you probably picked the right one. And again, this makes Scott and I end off at a solid 2-2, as we have not skipped a week, and that is how the numbers work out.
Yep.
Oh boy.
And let's think about it. You guys got to waste 40 minutes of arguing for two shows that didn't win.
It was great.
Well, I sure had a lot of fun in this season of our Slapdash Saboteur endeavors. Be sure to check us out in the future for whatever projects we work on next.
Hopefully better ones, and they'll be great.
Hopefully better ones. We'll be hitting you with some content before the next 6 months, I can guarantee it. Probably before the next 4 months, I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
So again, this has been Anime Survivor. We have our champion, our survivor, Haruka Saibo. It has persisted despite all of the all the viruses, the bacteria that have attacked it. It has survived through them all and become stronger for it.
So we struck it down, and it only came back more powerful than we could ever have imagined.
Little to the viewers know, we didn't actually strike it down.
What?
Huh? What? Huh? Sync? But yeah, I've had a good time. I'm glad we did this. Glad to have you guys listening along. Me and Scott, and maybe Droids.
So you guys only did 5 episodes.
No, we had in between episodes and stuff.
Yeah.
This is probably 9 or 10.
I bet it's 10. It might actually be 9. It's probably only 9.
They're not numbered, so who knows?
It's probably 9. I can't count higher than that.
Yeah, I can't count higher than 27.
Well, yeah. You guys got anything else you want to say?
Alright, this might be 8. Nope.
Perfect. I've been Scott.
I've been Eric.
Yeah, speaking of repeating the same joke week after week after week.
Oh, it's so good, though.
I'm glad he got it.
It's such a good one. And also, who has been here?
I've been Brandon.
Phew.
Bye.